Alright, hey YouTube, this is Decal Square here with Lesson 5 of Lua Beginner Tutorials, and today I'm going to be teaching you something about file access. What is file access? You may say, well, you should probably know what file access is, but in case you don't, it lets you open up files inside your program and, like, write stuff to them and read from them and stuff like that. Useful for save files and things like that in video games, you know? And, today I'm going to be showing you this program called File Access, or the script, really. If I open it, it's going to say enter some stuff, type exit to exit. So I'm going to enter Kit Kat, and then I can enter Bug, and, Tigger, Pooh Bear. You can put spaces in it too, I believe. Pooh Bear. And then if I hit exit, it exits out. Now what happens, if I run it again, it says, last stuff entered. Kit Kat, Bug, Tigger, Pooh Bear. Enter some stuff. Type exit to exit, I can enter stuff again. Like, jump. Fudge. Jelly. And then I can type exit. And it's going to be like last stuff entered, jump, fudge, jelly. And I can put like hugs, run, and like, I don't know, dog, exit. And if I entered this last enter.text, as you can see, we got my text there. And file access, it tells you right there. So let me just exit. And now the file's empty. So, let me show you how this works. But before I can show you how that works, I need to explain one thing that I probably should have explained in Lesson 1. Or Lesson 2. Anyway, well, weird. I'm getting some weird lag here. Wonder why. Oh well. Let's pretend like it's not happening. So, you guys should be familiar with print. Right here. Print line 1, print line 2. Now, you should know that this will show up, and then on the next line this will show up. Yes, and indeed that is what happens. But now what if I told you there's another way of writing stuff to the screen? That is io.write. And so if I do this, you should be thinking, or you might be thinking something like, okay, I'm going to use io.write line 1, and I'm going to get line 1. And then I'm going to use io.write line 2, and I'm going to get line 2. Alright, that's reasonable thinking. Let's see what happens. Whoa, I get line 1, line 2, and then the exit code here. Whoa, 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 why is that? That is because in text documents, whenever you like hit enter, or just go to the next line, that is called a carriage return. And what print does is it automatically puts a carriage return at the end of whatever you put there. Now with io.write, if you want io.write to make a new line, you have to make a / and then in. Don't put any spaces or else there'll be an extra space. Just put it right beside where you want the file to have a new line. So now if I do this, it'll work the same. There we are. Why is this useful? Well, sometimes you want to put stuff on the screen in like a certain position, but you don't want to make a new line after it. That can be useful for this, and stuff like that. However, it is also useful for what I'm about to show you with fileaccess.lua. So as you can see, I've got some comments here. We got open the file. So this is probably the most important thing. We get local file name is equal to, and then the file name, last entered.txt, or txt, local file, let me just full screen this, and zoom in a little bit. Local file is equal to io.open, and then file name, comma, and then you see this, double quotes R. Now, let me tell you what this is. io.open is a function in the IO library that will open up a file handle. What a file handle is It's like a variable that will let you do stuff with files. In this case, we're opening lastentered.txt into file. Now, what this R means, this is the mode. And if you can see, whenever I do this, we get io.open, file name, and then mode. So what is mode? There are 3 main modes that you will probably be using the most, and there's also 9 other modes that are not as important, but I'm not going to tell you. I am going to mention them, but I'm not going to go in depth about them. But so this R stands for read. What read means is it opens the file in read only. So it said now after we open the file in read only, we have to check to make sure the file exists first. So if the file exists, then print what was last entered. If file does not equal nil, remember when I taught you about nil? Nil is one place where it comes in handy. If it does not equal nil, then we're gonna print last stuff entered, file read, and then what this does. Okay, file read. Well, you may be thinking why we put file and then read like this. As you can see, we named our variable for the last enter.txt file. And then, whenever you do this, you get these, I believe they're called function something another. They're called something whenever you access them like this, with a semicolon, or not a semicolon, but just a colon. So we're going to take our file's variable name, in our case file, and then colon read. And then inside of this, we're going to put the read mode. So we're going to put asterisk all. This will read the entire file and print it out. So that's how that one works. And then after that, we're going to close it with file colon close. But the reason we put this inside the if does not equal nil is because if you try to open up a file in read mode and it does not exist, it doesn't open the file. Therefore, if I try to close it and it does not exist, we'll get an error. And now we're going to do open the file in write mode. File.io.open, file name, W. Now this is write. What is write? Well, write lets you write stuff to the file. Also, every time you open up a file in write mode, it deletes everything in the file. Like, it overwrites the file. That's what I'm looking for. Useful for, like, a save file, because you don't want to put the exact same data over and over and over. The other most important mode is Append. What Append does is it's like write, except it doesn't overwrite. Instead, it writes it at the bottom of the file over and over and over, which is useful for like a database type program that has to keep track of information forever and ever and ever. And now, after we open it in write mode, we're going to enter some stuff, and then type exit to exit, and then we're going to make a variable called text. Now, before I go any further, I want to say that you may see I didn't do this here. And that is because if you try to open a file in write mode that does not exist, it creates the file. So, if you try to open a file in write mode, it will never be nil. Well, I mean, actually, technically, it will be nil if it's new and it's never been opened before. It's never been changed before, I should say, but it's never going to not exist. It's always going to exist. So one thing about this is not only does it check if it exists, but also if there's nothing in the file, then it doesn't print anything. So that's good too. But now, after this local text variable, we're going to enter a while true do loop. And then text is going to be equal to io.read. I've showed you that before. And then, after we read it, we're going to do if text does not equal exit, then file colon write. And now, this is a lot like the io.write, which is why I told you about it. Write, and then we're going to do text, and then we're going to do ... for concatenation. And at the end, we're going to put a new line. So we want to do text and concatenate a new line to the end of text, so that it works. And if file and else, which means if it does equal exit, then we're gonna break. And then we're gonna end. And what break does is it breaks us out of the loop. So if I call break here, after I break, I'm gonna end up right here on line 27. But if it does equal exit, we're gonna write, reach end, and go back up to the beginning and do it all again and again and again and again until it equals exit. And then after we exit, we're gonna do file : close again. Now, before we continue, I want to say, if you are closing your file right now, like if you're closing your file at the end of the program's life, you technically don't have to call close, because all open files and things like that in Lua are closed automatically upon script termination. However, it is good practice to always close your files if you open them. For every io.open, there should be a file : close. One for each one, obviously. Because if you don't close it and you try to open up a file, if you try to open up file again, like if you try to open a new file in the same variable, I'm pretty sure you'll get an error. Not to mention, it's going to be using up excess memory that you RAM that for the most part it usually isn't a problem nowadays. It would probably just be a few kilobytes. But if you've got like massive save files that take up like megabytes of data, then that might be a problem. It's taking up some extra megabytes of RAM. So you want to be sure to close. Like if you're doing a save file, you want to close it after you load everything. So that's file access in a nutshell. There are some more IO functions. We've got io.close. I've showed you io.close file. It's equivalent to file : close. io.flush, equivalent to file flush. What file flush does is it saves any written data to a file. So that's useful sometimes. io.input, it's this. When called with a file name, it opens the named file in text mode and sets its handle as the default input file. When called with a file handle, it simply sets this file handle as the default input value. When called without parameters, it returns the current default input value. In case of errors, this function raises the error instead of returning an error code. And then we got io.lines file name. Opens the given file name in read mode and returns an iterator function that each time it is called returns a new line from the file. Therefore, the construction for line in io.lines file name do body, which means what you want to do when this is true, end. And it'll iterate over all the lines of the file. When the iterator function detects the end of the file, it returns nil to finish the loop and automatically closes the file. Now, what this does is it pretty much prints the entire file out. I find it easier to just do print file : read all. I think it's easier to just do that. Then we got io.open. I've showed you what that does. io.output, similar to io.input, but operates over the default output file. Here's another interesting one. io.popen prog mode starts program prog in a separated process and returns a file handle that you can read data from this program if mode is R, the default, or to write data to this program if mode is write. This function is system dependent and is not available on all platforms. Now what that means is, say I go to my desktop and I copy Minecraft.exe, I paste it in here, and I make a new text document here, and I call it openmc.lua. I change the file extension, and then edit the script and type in io.popen, and then I type in Minecraft.exe, that thingy, and then in read mode, save it, and then run the script. Minecraft pops up. How beautiful is that? Pretty beautiful. So that's how that works. And so I believe that's just about it. What else is there? io.read, we know what that does, as I told you. Oh wait, let me tell you some more modes about it. So here's some of the modes you can use. Right, yeah, I found them somewhere. Oh wait, they're right here. I think, yeah, right here. No, yeah, okay. So, this is what happens. Also, right. Let me close this file. How do I close the file? I'm not sure. Not sure. Can I just close? Close. There we go. Alrighty. So if we look here where it says star all, you can just put star A, and it's the same thing. Works exactly the same. But anyway, the available formats are star n reads a number. This is the only format that returns a number instead of a string. And then we've got and then we got star A reads the whole file starting at the current position, which means where the seek is set. By default, it's set at the beginning if it's in read mode and you just opened it. On the end of the file, it returns an empty string. And then we've got star L reads the next line, skipping the end line, returning nil on end of the file. This is the default format. And we've got number. And what this means by default format is it means if we just call file :read open brace closing brace and nothing in it, it will perform this mode. But now we've got number reads a string with up to this number of characters, returning nil on end of file. If the number is 0, it reads nothing and returns an empty string or nil on the end of file. What this means is if I call like file :read open brace 15 closing brace, it's going to read the first 15 characters, including spaces and everything, but just the first 15 characters. And here is file seek, whence offset. Sets and gets the file position measured from the beginning of the file to the position given by offset, plus a base specified by the string whence as follows. Set, base is position 0, beginning of the file. Cur, base is current position. And end, base is end of file. So, it says, in case of success, function seek returns the final file position, measured in bytes from the beginning of the file. If this function fails, it returns nil, plus a string describing the error. The default value for whence is cur, and for offset is 0. Therefore, the call file seek returns the current file position without changing it. The call file :seek set sets the position to the beginning of the file and returns 0, and the call file :seek end sets the position to the end of the file and returns its size. So, therefore, if we type in just like we're here, say set, and that's it. Like it said, we'll get to the beginning. If we do like cur, and then in offset, I believe you just type in characters or bytes or something. Something, one of those. I'm not sure. It doesn't really say. But yeah, that's that. This can be useful for several things. Can't think of any off the top of my head, although I have used them before. Now, file.setVbuff mode size sets the buffering mode for an output file. There are 3 available modes. No buffering. The result of any output operations appear immediately. Full buffering. Output operation is performed only when the buffer is full or when you explicitly flush the file. See io.flush. Line buffering. Output is buffered until a new line is output or there is any input from special lines, such as a terminal device. For the last 2 cases, size specifies the size of the buffer. In bytes, the default is an appropriate size. And we've got file :write. We know what that does. So that should just about wrap it up. It's been about 20 minutes, and I hope you have learned something, I don't know, informational about file access in Lua and running programs and things like that. So I'm trying to think, make sure there's nothing else that I need to say. I believe that's it. We covered the whole IO library, and we have covered write versus print, io.write versus print, the difference between them, and we made a simple file access program. I believe that should be it for this lesson. I will see you guys next time. Be sure to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Bye.